Welcome to Discover Creative Careers at ARU. My name's Sarah Jones. One of the things that I do as part of my job is I support students to select the right courses and right futures for them. And I'm really pleased to have invited Robert Hurd to join us today. Thanks for coming, Robert. Robert's going to talk to us a little bit about his career in acting to date. So Robert and I are going to have a chat, discuss his career. If you have any questions, please do pop them in the chat as we're going. If there's anything that occurs to you, I can ask it as we go along, or I can come to them at the end and I'll prompt you again to ask any questions. You can unmute your mic and put your camera on and say hi to Robert and ask any questions, but then you would be included in the recording. So if you want to just pop them in the chat, I can read them out to Robert as well. So Robert, thank you for joining us. Really excited to find out a bit more about your career and how you got to where you got to today. So just to start with the early days. So were you into performing as a child?
Well, as a child, so I'm the first of a largish family, and I feel as though I've always had that creative streak in me. But it wasn't until year 6, I think 5 or 6 of primary school, where we had a play that we were doing at Christmas time, and this is kind of one of my first kind of favourite theatrical memories. We were doing a comparison between Christmas in the UK and Christmas in Australia. And obviously in Australia it's warm and people go down to the beach and they have barbecues and that's Christmas for them. So I was part of the Australian team, and someone had found me a boxing kangaroo puppet that I will have received as an Australian. And my parents had a friend who had recently moved to Australia. And so I remember kind of getting really excited and ringing her up and going, "Oh, can I do my accent for you?" And just kind of really kind of trying to be as good and as solid on this accent and this performance of this tiny, I think our primary school only had like 90 pupils. But I was like, I'm going to do this really, really well. And so I feel as though that was that first spark, and then kind of all of the feedback was like, "Oh, your accent was so good." And then I just it kind of just kept steamrolling from there, really. And any chance to try out an accent or to be creative, to have fun, to communicate with people, I just took every opportunity I could, really. And then things moved on. I went to a high school in North Norfolk, and from there I had quite a good drama teacher who was very up on trying to. I think she noticed something in me. She noticed kind of like a spark, something that was exciting, and so she would kind of.
Really interesting, because every person that I've spoken to have said the same thing, that a particular teacher recognised something creative and really supported, and it's really interesting how instrumental that seems to be in people making a decision about their future.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and you kind of you hope that you as a child have that, and you think about all of the potential kind of children that don't have that. And you're like, oh no, kind of we could be missing. I mean, and exactly in whatever career it is, we could be missing those geniuses or those sparks just because they haven't had the right kind of nudge at the right time. But so she really helped me kind of focus in a little bit. What was really interesting was that in year 9, when we were asked to choose what subjects we wanted to do for GCSE, I was told that I had to choose between geography and drama.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and I was absolutely distraught. I went to my year 9 head, and I cried in his office because I was like, I just don't know what to do, because I loved drama so much, but I think also at the time in secondary and sometimes sixth form education, you are kind of like taught that perhaps humanities more than creative subjects are perhaps more useful at times.
Yeah.
And so I, at that point, a compromise was made, which was that drama, or theatre studies as it was then, didn't require you to have done drama at GCSE. So I stuck with geography,
Right.
and then went on to do AS and A level in theatre studies.
Okay, so you were kind of encouraged. You had this really limited choice, but you had a way of keeping the door open.
Yeah, exactly. So I if there had been, if it had been more rigid, if the rules had been more rigid about not being able to do theatre studies or drama in higher education, am I getting the right phrasing right? It's higher education.
No, so you're talking at sort of A level equivalent. So at higher education, we'd say university, but you're talking about you didn't need GCSE to progress to level 3, as we'd call it.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
So it was like I can do the humanities, which potentially could set me up in a different way. And obviously in year 9, how are you supposed to kind of know what it is that you want to do? But I did have a desire to want to perform, but because I was still able to do AS and A level without having done GCSE, I was like, okay, this is still an opportunity for me further down the line to really kind of go for it.
Just out of interest, did you do geography A level or AS level?
I did, and so I'll get to this later. At Anglia Ruskin, I wanted to do a drama and geography combined honours,
right.
And I signed up, and I actually did that. But I think I'm not exactly sure how far it was before I started Anglia Ruskin. They said we can't offer drama and geography as a combined honours anymore. What would you like to do? So I ended up doing drama and film studies, which was another kind of my.
Yeah. To go back a step, Tanya's asked the question that I was actually thinking myself, which was like, did you do drama or theatre outside of school at all?
So tons actually, but it was something that I got far busier with it at sixth form.
Okay.
So I'd done pantomimes, I'd done musicals as part of school activities and kind of extracurricular school activities, but I managed to get involved in the Norfolk Youth Music Theatre.
Okay.
And so that was like an amateur children's theatre group up in Norwich. And that really kind of helped me kind of propel me, and it was really, really good quality as well. It was with wonderful students all around the county of Norfolk, kind of like from the North Norfolk to South Norfolk. And that absolutely was a great big commitment and wonderful to do. Like the first show that we did there was Fiddler on the Roof. We ended up doing Les Miserables and Sweeney Todd, and that again really kind of cemented a sense in me that this was something that was available, an option to me. And also previous to that, summer schools as well, acting summer schools. Again, I was really fortunate that there was a repertory theatre in Sheringham, which is so I went to a place called Sheringham High School. There's a repertory theatre, or there was a repertory theatre at the Little Theatre in Sheringham, and they'd have their professional actors come in and do kind of like masterclasses or work with a set of kind of youth actors for a week or 2 weeks, and then you'd put on a show. And again, it was just so inspiring. You were working with people who were professionals, and they were so creative, and you'd just be like, oh my god, you can do like amazing accents, and you can sing, and you can dance, and you can play the piano, and it's just like, wow, I want to be able to do this.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, well, that is that's really interesting in terms of, you know, I'm in some ways, it's like I wondered if the extracurricular stuff outside of school kind of put it in the realm of, oh, this is something that happens apart from my kind of like education. But it seems that actually it kind of helped push you and give you more focus in terms of that's where you wanted your future to go.
Yeah. Well, so what's I think perhaps was interesting about the Norfolk Youth Music Theatre thing, in comparison with the Bridge Theatre Repertory thing, was that there was a bit of a disconnect between the students and the teachers. It was like, you're professional actors and you're still kind of students. Whereas I was working with people in the Norfolk Youth Music Theatre who were all of my age and who were all incredibly talented.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, not exactly to kind of blow my own trumpet too much, but I was like, oh, I'm kind of talented too. That's quite nice. That's quite like, I can kind of hold my own with people in this county, and this seems to be an incredibly talented county. And I'm not being acted off the stage. I'm not being sung off the stage. It's like, oh, cool. I'm part of this ensemble, and that, I think that was it. That kind of really, I was like, oh, great, yes, maybe this is something we can do.
So before we move on to what you've done and your career, could we talk a bit about your time at ARU? We were just having a chat, weren't we, before the session? And actually, you know, there were some good opportunities for you there at ARU, including a sort of life-changing one.
So the first thing that really happened when I arrived at Anglia Ruskin, I was like, okay, I've moved into my halls. Let's find the Drama Society. So I found the Drama Society, and they were doing this slightly edgy play by a playwright called Philip Ridley called The Fastest Clock in the Universe. And I won't go too far into it because I think there are things that maybe not
suitable for a younger audience, perhaps.
Yeah. But it was a wonderfully bizarre play to be in. And again, I'm sure lots of people auditioned for it, but I managed to get the part, and I was very lucky to get the part. And it absolutely changed my world, because I was working with a second year director who was great, who obviously kind of knew what he was doing. And then the rest of us were all kind of like first years, and we're all kind of really excited. And it was just like a really lovely, buzzy feeling to be part of this like drama society, to be just putting on a really good piece of drama as well. It was very, very different from the world of the Norfolk Youth Music Theatre, because it's like all musicals and all jolly, to be going and doing this gritty play. And it was always in the forefront of my mind that the drama society and the drama, the course, I wanted to be as involved as I could be as an actor, but also as a producer, as a director. So in my time here, I also produced a couple of shows at the Mumford Theatre, also acted a whole load at the Covent Garden Drama Centre, doing kind of versions of Samuel Beckett's plays. I also my dissertation in the end, and I'm not exactly sure what the rules are now, but back then I was able to do a performance as part of my dissertation. And so I did, my dissertation was on language and power in contemporary performance. And so I did two extracts of two David Mamet plays. So we did Oleanna and Duck Variations. And so I tried to take as many opportunities to act and create both externally and during in the course itself, in the drama and film studies course, as I could. And as you mentioned earlier, yeah, me and my actual partner met doing a play in Cambridge at the Junction Theatre. We were doing a version of Terry Pratchett's Weird Sisters. That was well, actually, I started off being the publicity officer on it, and then I ended up acting in it. And from that seed, our relationship has blossomed. And we actually ended up watching my partner's parents recorded the play, and we ended up watching it a couple of weeks back, and we were like, oh my word. Oh, yeah.
That's brilliant. But I mean, there are lots of opportunities, aren't there, in Cambridge for, I mean, were you part of Footlights, or, because I know there are kind of formal and informal relationships across the universities as well.
Yeah. So what's really great about studying at Anglia Ruskin and Cambridge, and in Cambridge, is that, as you said, there's kind of an informal arrangement that allows actors or people actually in all societies and some sports clubs as well to integrate. And so I was able to perform in quite a few Cambridge University Drama Society plays. I ended up going up to Edinburgh a couple of times with a couple of musicals. We did one that was called Bat Boy the Musical, which sounds as batty as it sounds. Ended up performing at the Cambridge Arts Theatre in Oklahoma. I wasn't part of Footlights, although I like to think that I'm quite funny. The Footlights people, they didn't think I was funny. I'm not sure why. And yeah, so it is great. Like it's not just, as far as I'm aware, it's not just drama. In fact, so I also have a background in ultimate frisbee. So
I've seen your CV. There's all sorts of impressive things on there. Yeah.
So one of the great things about Cambridge University is that the umbrella ultimate frisbee group for Cambridge, it's not just Cambridge University, it's not just Anglia Ruskin. There's a real negotiation and a real kind of communication between the two to kind of get better.
Yeah, great. Okay, so tell us about what your journey was like, you know, after leaving university, what you've done, what sort of things you've been in. If you could share a little bit about your kind of career history, that'd be brilliant.
Sure. Well, so after leaving Anglia Ruskin, I auditioned for a couple of drama schools, and so there seems to be an idea that you have to go to drama school to be able to become a successful actor, or to become an actor in general. Now, I would 100% say that is not the case. Some people, some of the best actors I've ever met, and some of the most successful actors I've ever met have not been to drama school. But a lot of people have, and so I felt that at the time that going to drama school would be the thing that would help me personally. So I applied for a lot of drama schools, and I found myself being unsuccessful. And so I had to work, because people have to work and make money. And one of the great things, or one of the many good things about doing a creative degree, is that you learn lots of different skills.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of going to university as well. Like you have to socialize, you have to communicate with a whole ton of different people, with different statuses. Like you're always going to be talking to your peers, but you're also going to be talking to people in power. And so even when I did the publicity for Weird Sisters, it was all about talking to the director of the show, but also talking to the publicity person at the venue, which was the Junction, just to kind of make sure that everything was right. So it allowed me to get a whole host of skills that then allowed me to apply for jobs. So I ended up working at a place called Merlin. It's now called Merlin Magic Makers, which is where they make the Madame Tussauds models.
Oh.
Yeah. So I spent 2.5 years working in this place that famous people would just be built. It was very like you'd see like Lady Gaga and Beyonce. Beyonce would be downstairs, not the real one, like the one made of wax. And it was just it was a wonderfully kind of creative.
Yeah, I can see that.
To be
it's sort of similar to acting, but sort of not, if you know what I mean, given that, they're not real people. But
yeah,
I can kind of see how that would have worked and how that would have been kind of stimulating and a great environment to be in.
But that was it. Kind of I feel as though I had lots of options in terms of where I could work because of the amount of cross skills that I have been given at university. It's like, well, I have this, I've got technological skills, I've got communication skills. Actually, I could do a lot, but there was something in my heart that still said I needed to be in a creative environment.
Yeah.
So worked for a bit. Knew that I still wanted to perhaps go to drama school. Worked to be able to afford to go to drama school, because drama school is stupidly expensive.
Yeah.
So went to kept on auditioning this whole time. So if I had been able to get to drama school in a particular year, then I would have. But it was the 2010 intake that finally did it for me, and I 100% believe that was the right thing to do. And so I had offers from three drama schools, and the one that really got me excited was a place called Mountain View, which used to be up in Wood Green but is now down in Peckham.
Okay, so just to clarify, so when you said that the right thing to do, you think it was the right thing for you to have that bit of a gap, work, sort of gain those kind of like life skills, and also carry on auditioning, so you're getting audition practice? And do you think that combination was the catalyst for getting you into drama school?
100%. Yeah. So what was really interesting was that so I graduated from Anglia Ruskin in 2007, and in 2007 I had an audition for a very prestigious drama school called Guildhall School of Music and Drama, and I got through the first round and I had a recall, and so only I think maybe 100 or so people get through to the recall stage, and then they pick 24 to form a company.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is great. I've got a chance.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen for me. And I look back on that, and I think, you know what? I was not ready for that.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah.
It would have been too much. I think in the 3 years that I had out and working, and then again kind of like communicating and finding out perhaps a bit more about who I was, it allowed me to kind of like focus in on what it exactly was that I did want to do. And by that time I'd gone, you know what, I like working here, I like working with creative people, but in my heart I need to try to become an actor.
It's really interesting, because I have heard like stories in the media about drama schools and actually them being quite brutal. And it's kind of like, actually, in some ways, had you got through and had you not been sufficiently resilient, that could have been the end of your career potentially. But actually, you really knew, and you had that bit of time, and you really knew that it was what you wanted to do. So that must give you that kind of drive and that resilience to kind of take it forward.
100%. Kind of, I look back, and for some people it completely works, but it would have been 6 years of higher education. So it would have been 3 years of Anglia Ruskin, and then another 3-year bachelor's. And I think it would have been really tough, and I, as a person and as an actor, I definitely think that things have worked out incredibly well, kind of for my own kind of well-being and my own mental health as well, and I think even for my success as well. The way that you think about things changes a little bit once you've had that time to work and to communicate and socialize with people. It's different than just going straight into another 3-year drama school.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us about your drama school experience then. And
so absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. It was really intense. It was so different to anything that I've ever really experienced before. It was 9 to 5 every day for a whole year. Extracurricular singing, doing plays, going seeing shows. It was so intense. It was so intense. And kind of came out with it with a master's in acting. And then I was like, well, I don't know what's going to happen. I managed to get myself an agent, which again isn't crucial, but certainly helps you with your career.
So how did you get an agent? Did you approach someone, or did they approach you? How does that whole process work?
Yeah, well, so that happens in lots of different ways and can happen in both the ways that you said. So what happened with me was that at the end of each drama training stint, whether it's a 3-year or a 1-year, you'll have a showcase. And that showcase was at the Criterion Theatre in London. And so you'll have agents, you'll have casting directors, you'll have directors come and watch you do a 2 to 3 minute duologue. And from that, they have to decide kind of your whole career. Whether A, kind of like you're a good enough actor, B, whether kind of like your face is sellable, because that is such a massive part of the whole industry as well. Because you could be the best actor in the world, but if things don't work out in other ways, then it becomes very difficult. And so they had seen the showcase, they seemed to like what I did, and they got in touch and they were like, yeah, we'd like to represent you. And then so I went for a meeting with them, and everyone says that acting is a marathon rather than a sprint. And so I was very much expecting not to have a job for the first 6 months to a year, just because that's how it is. And then I was lucky enough to get an audition for a touring pantomime, which I got, and it was Sleeping Beauty, and I was so excited about this touring pantomime. It was around Lincolnshire, and it was a very, very good learning experience. Like it's not something that I'd ever want to do again. It was really tough. It was really tough. Sometimes 3 shows a day, driving from our base just outside Lincolnshire to all around Lincolnshire. There were only 3 people in the cast, and you were putting the set up, doing all the electrics, kind of doing everything. It was just the 3 of us, and we were putting an hour-and-a-half show in a school, and then going to another school.
Wow, that sounds intense.
Yeah, it was so intense, but in the same way, it was such a good experience because it prepares you for the rest of your career. I was having to take a whole host of multivitamins in the morning just to kind of get through the day. Just be don't get
and some caffeine.
But again, without kind of Anglo-Ruskin and without kind of the technological skills learned on the film side, and also kind of the drama side as well, but on the film side, I would have found that particular job far more challenging, because we had to plug in microphones, we had to create the whole kind of soundscape and the whole sound system every time we set the thing up. So the amount of transferable skills that I learned at Anglia Ruskin doing drama and film studies that weren't actually necessarily associated just to drama and film studies really set me up positively and strongly to kind of do a ton of different jobs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's what some of the messaging that my colleagues and I try to convey around university, and, you know, what is the value of university beyond the obvious thing of getting a degree, which might lead you to a particular job. It's all those kind of broader skills and experience that you get that kind of build you into a better, more employable human being, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Do you want to share? I know you've got some images and things. Do you want to just share those with us and kind of talk through what you've done a little bit more?
Sure.
People can see you in action, as it were.
So, can everyone still hear me?
Yeah, we can still.
Great.
And I can see your slideshow now.
Great. So, having done the touring pantomime, which was great, but it was also a slog. I thought, oh well, I'll probably never work again, and but I've been incredibly lucky with the work that I've done. So this slideshow is kind of takes you from 2011-ish up to, I think the most recent thing I've got on there is 2018. And obviously since the pandemic, things have been a little bit weird. And we can talk about that later, but also I've got a couple of exciting things in the pipeline, which I can hopefully tell you about. There's one thing that I can't tell you about because it's so top secret, but I can tell you that it's coming out soon. But we can talk about those.
I might have to, off camera.
Yeah. So this is me on a good day. This is my headshot. This is probably the first thing the directors and casting directors see when they look on my online profile, which is a place called Spotlight. And so they'll go, oh, he looks like a nice chap. Let's get him in for audition. So this is something that I'm incredibly proud of. This is me. I'm the one, if you can see, I'm the one second in from the left in the lovely pale green leather trousers. This is me at Shakespeare's Globe in a play called The Taming of the Shrew. So in 2012, about a year or so after I had graduated, I got a job at Shakespeare's Globe, and it was absolutely amazing. It was the year of the Olympics as well, so London had a great buzz to it, and the Olympic torch actually came to visit Shakespeare's Globe, and it was just such a wonderful summer. And I don't know whether many of you watching know about Shakespeare's Globe, but it's this reconstruction of Shakespeare's, or one of the theatres that Shakespeare worked in back in the 1600s. It's all made of wood, so everything. So you go on, Sarah?
Yeah, I was going to say, we're actually partnering with Shakespeare's Globe on a film project at the moment. Our film students are making films for the theatre, so yeah.
Great, wonderful. Yeah. So it's all made of wood, and you can fit 1,400 people in there. And I've never had a response like it at the end of shows at the Globe, or certainly used to be. You'd do this little dance at the end called the jig, and it will kind of like elevate everyone, and you have 700 people standing in the pit at the Globe, and then 700 people kind of like all around you sitting down, and it was absolutely magical, kind of. And it's open air as well, and it's just one of the great experiences of my life, and I got to do it for 70 or so performances.
Brilliant.
It was just amazing. And then the year later, I did a play called Blue Stockings, which was by Jess Swale, and that's actually set at Cambridge University and set in Cambridge. So it was all really, really interesting. And again, like we had a much shorter run, but it meant I got to wear like incredibly smart clothes, and I got to grow myself a moustache. And as you'll see in future photos, that I'm a big fan of moustaches and getting my hair cut. So let's see what the next shot is. So this was me again quite early on in my career. Playing the wooer in The Two Noble Kinsmen, again by Shakespeare. I did quite a lot of early modern stuff early on in my career. And this was at the Egg Theatre in Bath, which is a lovely theatre, quite small, generally focuses on children's theatre and also theatre for young audiences. So that was great. Again, this must have been, I don't know, 2013, 2014. One of my other favourite jobs was to be in a production, the first ever, in fact, professional production of Enid Blyton's The Famous Five. So we were in conversation with Hachette, who are the publishers of all of Enid Blyton's works, and we managed to get them to allow us to do a production of Famous Five, because it was, I don't want to get, I'm going to get this wrong. It was either the 75th anniversary of the publication of Famous Five or the 100th. I think probably the 75th.
I think so, yeah, too.
Yeah. And
you were negotiating with a company you were part of, or
not me personally.
Okay.
Not me personally, but the company. The director of this show was in conversations with Hachette, and so what we actually did was we created a show based on the first 3 Famous Five books. So there was never a script. A script hadn't been written.
Yeah.
Before we started, so we devised the whole thing, and.
Right.
We ended up doing a little bit of a tour of this show, and it went down incredibly well. And it was one of the most fun shows I've ever done, because I mean it was full of joy, and I got to wear this incredible red and white stripy jumper and just eat mint humbugs for about.
Yeah, and ginger beer, drink ginger beer, and
ginger beer. Yeah, oh, it was absolutely joyous.
Are you going to tell us which member of the Famous Five you were?
I was Dick.
Ah,
I was Dick.
I've always wanted to be in the Famous Five.
It was so wonderful, and so this job actually led on to another quick job, which was to work with Great Western Railways, because they'd been using the Famous Five characters as part of advertising to get people out west, and so we, as the Famous Five company, travelled on trains for a whole day, just kind of giving out books and kind of generally entertaining children and being naughty, and again eating humbugs. And then so this I can't tell you what this is for, but I can show you before and after.
So intriguing.
Yeah. So this might, I mean, my hair is kind of like similarly long now. But they were like, we need to cut your hair, and we also need you to dye it. So this was around this time last year, actually. And so haircuts and facial hair, a big part of an actor's life, because you just have to change it all the time. So then I ended up having that. That was, you can't really see it, but it's a good couple of shades more blonde.
Yeah, you can see the colour difference. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and then so this is also me on the set of The Royals, which I filmed in 2017, which had Liz Hurley playing the Queen in a dystopian future, I'm sure, where Liz Hurley is the Queen. So I played a reporter, and this was my first ever TV role. And it was just insane. People say that it's very different to theatre, and it is. And I got picked up in a car, and I think it was a Jaguar. It was something posh, at 6 o'clock in the morning to be taken to my trailer. And I had my own trailer, and someone brought me breakfast, and I had my own seat. And it was just a little bit crazy, the amount of people that work on film sets as well. I don't know if you can see the police car and the ambulance in the background. They will be props, so people will have had to have bought those in. And it's just being on a TV set or a film set makes you realize how vital kind of communication is, and how useful interpersonal skills are, because it's like herding cats sometimes, I think. And so in 2018 I had my first ever West End credit, which again I've since leaving Cambridge, since leaving Anglia Ruskin, the amount of times I've come back to Cambridge, the city, to do plays, it's kind of innumerable. And so this play is a play called Pressure, written by an author called David Haig. And we had our first ever performances of this play were at the Cambridge Arts Theatre. And then this play went on a tour around the rest of the UK, including Edinburgh, and also, where else did it go? Guildford, Canterbury. And then we got news that it was going to go into the West End. So it was my first ever West End credit, and it was just joyous. Like, we were a couple of minutes away from the Ivy, so every so often we'd pop into the Ivy after the show and have one of their famous cottage pies, and it was just brilliant. And the show was really wonderful. It's due to go to Toronto. It was supposed to go to Toronto at the beginning of 2020, but the pandemic put a pay to that. And it was even supposed to be going to Toronto from the 15th of March this year, until they postponed it by another year about 5 to 6 weeks ago.
Right. Okay.
So yeah. But I suppose I can tell you now. I was quite upset about that. That was quite upsetting. Yeah. But I've just been cast in a TV show, which again I can't say too much. I've signed too many non-disclosure agreements. But
do you know what? Even if you could tell us, I quite like the fact that you're saying that you can't. It makes it even more exciting. So
yeah, I'll pop up on the screen, and you'll be like, "Oh my God, him! There he is!"
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and that actually films on what would have been the first day of rehearsals.
Well, there you go.
It's a nice little kind of like, well, you can't have this now, but here's this.
Yeah.
This is me with a massive moustache.
Yes.
I did a play. I did a musical in Swansea at the end of 2019. And unfortunately, that is not my real moustache. My moustaches are pretty terrible. But I thought I should just show you that, just so you can see my love of facial hair.
Yes.
And then that's also me being hit by a fish.
Brilliant.
That was taken during a rehearsed reading in, I don't know whether it was Middle Temple Hall or Gray's Inn, but there are I think there are four. There are 4 inns of court, which are places where lawyers would study to become lawyers. Back from very old times, I think like 1400s or so. But this particular place, I think, is from the 1540s. The reason why we performed there is because it was a Shakespeare's Globe rehearsed reading, and I think it predated Shakespeare's Globe and is still standing, so it was full of history. And again, and this last one is just what it's like to be on a film set. Really, you have all these people kind of congregated around the people who are acting, and then there's just me kind of like sitting there on my own, and I just thought it was an artistic shot, you know.
Yes, no, it is. It's a good shot.
But there you go. That's kind of a brief breakdown of some photos of mine.
Well, thank you so much for sharing those, and it's really interesting to hear those kind of like key moments like in your career. If you had to say one of them was the moment where you just went yes, which would it be? You know, you mentioned the Globe film. Which moment?
Yeah, I think the first time coming out, having done the jig at the Globe, and having 1,400 people, 700 of them kind of standing up applauding, and then another 700 kind of around you, just kind of going a bit mad for you. I was just like, I just don't know. I'm gonna get over this. Really, it was just so magical. The stars were out. You could see the sky. It was just I was absolutely spoiled, kind of in that job because of those things.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, it does sound like an amazing space. So do you feel that like there are, you know, most people have to compromise at some point in their working life? Are there things that you feel that you have had to compromise on or might need to compromise on? Are there things that like you wouldn't ever do? You'd be like, no, okay, I'm not going to be on a reality TV show, or not that you would be as an actor, that wouldn't make any sense. But do you know what I mean? There are things that you'd be like, no, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, well, so it's really acting as a career is incredibly tough when it's not working, when it doesn't work out. Like you're at the mercy of trends and fashions, and also sometimes how good your agent is, how well connected they are to the industry, and you have a set of agents who are very high powered, whose clients include the big names in film and TV, and they sometimes get the first pick of the jobs.
Yeah.
So I've spent a whole host of time not doing acting work, and so I've had to kind of diversify my skills. I've had to work out what it is that I can do to earn money to be able to kind of survive, but that also kind of doesn't drive me mad, because there are a whole host of jobs out there that I go, oh, I couldn't do that, even though they wouldn't be particularly hard. I feel as though I need to be kind of stimulated in a way, or at least I kind of need to be able to survive. So in my time, I've worked in a gin shop. I have done dog walking.
A gin shop.
Gin shop, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds very stimulating.
Yeah, a gin shop. I've done dog walking. I did a whole host of dog walking. I used to do show reels, edit them and shoot them. Currently now, I'm actually working quite a lot at my old drama school. I'm doing a lot of technical support. Again. So this is a job that would not be in my wheelhouse had it not been for Anglia Ruskin, had it not been for the skills that I learned doing the on the film side. I wouldn't be able to be doing what I'm doing. So I'm working in the radio department, doing their technician things, and then also working in the film and TV department as well, doing vision mixing and also camera work and kind of helping out. And so there are certainly things that I wouldn't want to do. But I've been lucky. Yeah, I've been lucky enough to have learnt the skills.
Yeah.
Kind of in my education to kind of do lots of different things as and when I need to.
You know, and interestingly, I meet more and more creative people and people who have jobs in the creative industries, and they do have what we call a portfolio career. You know, they you know, are multi-talented, have lots of different projects ongoing, and you know, some people will like create their own music videos, but then they'll, you know, work as a kind of technical officer even at ARU, and you know, do various different things, and actually, you know, there are benefits across those different things, and you know, again, it all adds up to, you know, a well-rounded and kind of fulfilling career. I've certainly never met one creative who said like they really hate their job. That never happens. So,
and I think this is, I think you also never really know who you're going to meet. And you never know, and it might be like, I think in my time at the gym shop, I've managed to meet 2 or 3 kind of directors, and
well, there you go. Yeah.
Like, okay, you know, and you never know, and like it's all about kind of making sometimes surprising people is great, and they're like, oh great, oh you're an actor, are you? Okay, well we should have a chat, and I'm like, yeah, great, cast me.
But that's also something to do with like, you know, your personality and the confidence that you've cultivated, because you might not have those conversations, or you know, you might be feeling sorry for yourself that you're not currently, you know, working on an acting job, but actually just by putting yourself out there and being confident, you know, and again, that's kind of like a difficult skill for people to gain, you know. We're kind of coming towards the end, which is a shame. I've really enjoyed chatting to you. So I'm just going to reach out to the people watching and say, like, if you do have any questions, please do pop them in the chat and I can read them out to Rob. If you had one piece of advice to young people, you know, who are thinking about, you know, acting as a career, what would that piece of advice be?
That's a really good question. I would say it's important to. I heard this a couple of days ago. I think I saw it on Twitter actually. I thought actually that's a really good piece of advice. That it's not now. Sorry, no, it's not no. Say if you go to an audition, it's not no. It's not now.
Yeah.
And that it is kind of a marathon and rather than a sprint. And I'm sorry that that's 2 points, but I feel as though so yeah, it just because you don't succeed once in one particular circumstance, that doesn't mean that you're a bad actor or kind of or anything. You just have no idea what people are looking for.
Yeah. Great. And we've got a question here from, I don't know if it's Saria or Saria, so apologies, but they would like to know, do you have any advice for auditioning for drama school?
So I would say work out, if you can, go to open days, try and work out what kind of vibe the drama school has. I think it's the same as universities as well. Like I certainly went to 3 or 4 different drama schools, and I'm very fortunate in the one that I actually ended up going to was the one that felt the most right to me, even before I had auditioned there. Otherwise, yeah, just keep playing. Keep playing with theatre, keep playing with scripts, read out loud with your friends. Acting is mostly about kind of getting your voice out there and kind of keeping your body kind of doing things and being creative. And so yeah, just kind of have fun and be playful. That would be.
I think that connects with what you were saying before as well, though, Rob, because I think it's the sort of same as with job interviews. You know, it is a two-way thing, and I think it's important to remember that, you know, as well as you not being right for them, they might not be right for you. So I think in terms of like doing your research, and the one that is right will probably be the one that is right for them and you. So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and just keep on going like Rob did. I mean, you weren't successful in your first drama school interview, were you? But then you were subsequently successful, and here you are now. I'm really excited about what's coming next. So I definitely want to find out about that. So hopefully we can hook up on social media and we can follow your story and kind of push it out a little bit so people can keep track of what you're doing. But if there are any final questions, we've got about 1 minute left. Otherwise, I think we'll start wrapping up. But yeah, thank you, Rob. That was really interesting. Really nice to hear about your story and all the things that you've done. I really love seeing the photos, actually. I think that worked really well, just to kind of see the different types of things, and also sort of seeing the kind of different types of acting that you've done, the different things that you've been in, and the different characters that you've been as well. So that's really good. So thank you for joining us today, everybody. I will just, I keep forgetting to do this as well, pop a link to feedback in the chat. If you wouldn't mind completing that for us, because that does enable us to carry on doing these sessions moving forward. So if you find it useful, we would really like to know. And also, we do have some more sessions tomorrow and later in the week. We've got George talking about film. We've got one of our heads of schools talking about creative careers more generally. We've got Emily talking about computer games on Friday. So do have a look at the other sessions we've got and book onto any of those if they're of interest to you. So yeah, thank you very much for joining. Rob, if you just hold on, I'll just say goodbye to you when the others have left the meeting.
Thank you for joining.